Order of Light presents a new era of contact, UFO sightings and strange anomalies, secret space programs and off-world adventures, advanced technologies and new discoveries, extraterrestrial abductions and contactees. Now is the time to speak. As we explore the unknown, the uncertain, and unseen, we are the disclosure, and these are those stories.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. It's a new era of contact. We have Aurora Diamondheart, the Blue Fairy, my good friend. We had the pleasure of connecting in the conference in Orlando, and we've been friends prior to that, talking, etc. We have a lot in common, and oh man, our phone conversation, Aurora and I, we were just talking, and we were saying that that first initial phone conversation we had was so mind-blowing, the connections and information that's flowing and all that good stuff. But you know me, I like to actually know the people I'm interviewing and build relationships with them before having them come on the show and make a fool of myself, not knowing anything about them. I believe it's important to understand the people we're trying to connect with, and that makes for a better interview. I know there's a lot of people out there that may say, whoa, stop interrupting your guest. I'll let them speak. I'm sorry, this is my show, and if I want to ask my guest something or add valuable information, I'm going to do so, because that's how we actually get to the core of what's going on. With that being said, the Blue Fairy, a lot of you, I know, you hear the word fairy, you think it's some child story. You think of Pinocchio, Peter Pan, Tinkerbell, these sorts of things. But these are old earth elemental spirits. There are energies that are on this planet that has been around much longer than anyone can possibly imagine. And with that being said, and these ancient earth elemental energies and spirits and frequencies and vibrations that have existed on this planet even before some of the extraterrestrials got here. It's important to understand these, and not all things are extraterrestrial in nature. There's crypto-terrestrial, interdimensional terrestrial, meaning that there are many things that come from planet Earth. With that being said, Aurora, she's had a lot of experiences, not only with these sorts of things, but also some interdimensional, extraterrestrial connections and experiences, and we've had amazing conversations and all that good stuff. And she's really been one of those people that has really encouraged me in times where I feel like giving up on all this stuff and dealing with YouTube and all that. She's always been that voice in the background, that motherly nature, that great Gaia, divine feminine energy that you carry on your back like a backpack. You've poured it out onto me, and it's really helped me in times where I kind of feel disgusted with everything. You're just a very nurturing voice of reason and understanding and compassion, a love and source, beautiful, divine, feminine source energy that just pours off of you. So with that being said, welcome to the show. Everyone hit that thumbs up, give the video a big like, help overdrive the algorithms, because YouTube don't like showing this stuff, but make them show it. Hit it now. That being said, Aurora, welcome to the show. And could you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you come from, a little this and that, and then we'll get into the good stuff.
Yeah, no problem. First of all, thank you for that amazing introduction. I really appreciate that. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be involved here with you and doing these things. So thank you. It touched my heart. So who am I? Sorry, excuse me. I will clear my throat here.
Who are we?
Well, who am I? Well, I am the Blue Fairy. You could definitely call me the Blue Fairy. Now, I didn't just like it wasn't like I was born and my whole life I just had this feeling that that's what I was. I actually went through a really extensive process to spirit actually uncovering that truth and giving me that truth about who I am, and I'm excited to share it with you guys here. Right now, what I've been doing in life is I've been doing my own YouTube stuff and sharing my stories, sharing my magical stories. Because the thing about being an elemental being is it comes with a lot of magic. You know, I had it naturally. I didn't even know that's what I was doing. It was always just like, oh, wow, that was really cool that I could say this thing and then it would happen, like, and
Manifestation. Oh wow,
yeah,
it
it was,
works.
oh, wow, all I have to do is just say these certain words and then boom, it happens, like, so for a long time, I knew that that was a little bit different about me, but it took me going through a very, dark years of the soul, I guess you could say, to really helped me unlock that was the truth behind what my nature was, and to really shed the old skin of those traumas, which obviously everyone is still always working on those things, but I've gotten to the point now where I have shed and healed so much of myself that was like the reward that they gave me when it came to igniting my heart back on, because that was what the trauma had done to me. The trauma had caused me to completely shut off my feelings, completely killed my heart, and it took quite the process to get that to reactivate again, but it was all worth it. And so now I'm here and I'm trying to share my magical stories and my gifts with people, trying to let people know what it is exactly that I'm doing in order to make these things happen so that they can use these same techniques. I know I'm not the only one out there. And I think that people who are drawn to me are going to be drawn to me because this is in them too. So if you are attracted to my frequency for whatever reason, follow that, and see what it is that I have that you need to hear, the gift that you might need. Okay, so
Exactly,
oh,
and that's a beautiful place to start. Most of us, it's a life journey. These things don't come to us overnight. Whether we are or we aren't is besides the point. These things are learned over time. Genetics can take a long time to manifest. Soul consciousness, awareness of our times before takes time to process and understand. If we had it all brought to us the second we were born, put into this world, we would be the craziest baby ever born. We want to be able to focus on anything, and we would probably be locked up and hospitalized. And this is why things come to us in a way that we can actually be functional here on this plane, on this Gaia, this Terra, this planet, and to continue to operate and, function nominally. That's what's going on, and it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And with that being said, with your journey of learning this, when did things all start for you? What was that first experience where you kind of said to yourself, this isn't normal?
oh goodness, the very first one. Oh boy, okay.
Well, that's the best one.
Um, oh gosh, oh gosh. Okay, you're throwing me off a little bit here because I wasn't sure if this is where we were going to start, somewhere like that. Okay, so I would honestly have to say that the very first experience I had and knowing that something was different about me was I had a voice tell me. I was watching this show called Mysteries of the Bible, which was one of my favorite shows back when I was younger. Okay, it was on the History Channel. And so I was watching the show and I had a voice come to me and it said to me, "You will bear a son who will tie two nations together." And I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, that's I'm what in the heck was that? Because it came in like it was my own voice, but it wasn't my own voice. And so I kind of laughed for a second because, I was a really young girl at the time. I was only 15 years old. And they said to me a second time, because they could tell I was brushing it off. And so they said to me a second time, they said, you will bear a son who will tie two nations together. And I was like, and I laughed. I honestly laughed. And I said, okay, but not
Come
anytime soon,
on.
right? I'm like, I don't believe this. Well, here's the thing. I've never even had a boyfriend at this point. I was still, I'd never been kissed, nothing like that. And they're telling me, and so I said, but not anytime soon, right? Like, not anytime soon. And then they shouted at me and they said, soon you will bear a son who will tie two nations together. Now, as it turns out, my first boyfriend, who I met a month later, ended up being half Palestinian. Well, he was full-blooded Palestinian. So my son ended up being half American, half Palestinian. So he did literally tie two nations together, because within a year I had a boy. I had a son within a year
and
of that happening.
America and Israel, Jerusalem and Palestinian, and the divide, bringing it together, canceled
Yes,
it out.
it was just that was really the first overwhelming experience that I realized, okay, there's something going on here. Like, there's some beings here that are talking to me, and they're telling, and I just looked at it as angels, and so it continued from there, where I would basically ask, I would make a request, is what I call it. Later on, I turned it into, I call them heart wishes. But at first I was only asking for things for me, and they would happen. Okay, I would get really, really, really specific, and you guys can go on my YouTube channel if you want to hear some of those, because I did talk about, they're a little bit more embarrassing, and I did talk about them on my earlier episodes. So but that's what I started noticing happening. Okay, so I all I have to do is I get into this emotional place where I'm feeling like a connection to God and everything, and then I ask and I say, God, I just really need help, and I really wish I could see this, and this happen. And then, sure enough, usually within 24 hours, that's the key. That's how I usually know when I've asked for something is in alignment with what God's will is, because I always ask for it from source. I always say, God, if only this is for my highest and best good, help me out with this thing. And within 24 hours, I will get a confirmation. One of the things that I've asked for in the request will happen, and they'll let me know that that's what's going on. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how that started working. But things started getting really weird.
These heart wishes, translated, we could call it manifestation.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So for everyone
I would think
out
so.
there,
This is manifestation.
version, she was just calling it the only thing she knew to call it, not having external knowledge of these things. And there's a beauty in that. And I think the word heart wishes is really, really good. Even better than manifestation. It's what your heart wants. It's what you desire. It's what you want to see happen in the world around you. So I think that's beautiful. And please continue from this process moving forward.
Sure. Well, that's what's one of the keys, I think, to having these things and being able to make these requests for them to happen, is that you have to go to a childlike place. You have to go back to that childlike imagination, that childlike wonder that you had in your heart when you were little, and you looked at a butterfly or an animal, and you would just be so moved, and you would get lost in the beauty of it.
Faith. Childlike faith.
Exactly.
Nothing is more pure, innocent, and beautiful, and filled with light. Childlike faith.
So as after that first thing happened, and I did end up having a son, like I said, that I really think the angels came and were telling me, like, this is like the beginning of them letting me know I'm on this path, because I had always knew that I'd always felt deep down inside myself that I was here to do a mission for God. I knew it since I was a little girl. I would ask God, I would just pray, like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm here to help you. I don't remember why. What would you have me do? Well, as I started growing into my 20s, okay, that was when I would say around 23 was when I had decided to take up a mantra meditation program, okay,
Mm.
where I did a 40-day program of doing these mantras every day for about 35 minutes. And I made an objective. And at the end of this 40 days, okay, God basically visited me. He, in my sleep state, took me to him. Okay. And I knew from this point, I felt God. I knew God. I was God. We all are God. And it was a feeling inside. It's a feeling. It's an experience inside yourself that leaves no room for doubt that God is real. Okay. And it was because I committed and devoted myself to showing the universe that I really wanted that connection. I really wanted help. What I'd really asked for in my objective is what they told me at the end of it. They said, what you really asked for, if we were to boil it down, was that you asked to understand what true unconditional love felt like. That is what you asked for.
And
so, yes,
I
go
have
ahead.
to intersect. I have to intersect. 40 days. That's powerful stuff. Talk about
Absolutely.
going to a desert for 40 days, take you to a cliff, have a little draconian snake friend showing you what you could be and what you can't be, etc. I get it. And I've done 40-day fasts back when I was a pastor, a musician. And at the end of my 40-day fast, you know what happened? My band at the time got signed onto a record label. I did a 40-day fast to manifest my band to get signed and all this, and it happens. It's something about the 40 days. I don't know what it is, and you could be fasting or giving up anything or just doing meditations X amount of time each day for 40 days straight. No matter what you do, it's something about that 40-day point. Stuff manifests and it does
True.
become reality. I've experienced that. And there's even, scriptures that actually talk about that. And I believe that these allegorical scriptures are representation of something we can actually do within our own lives. And you did this exactly. And this led to the whole can of worms that you're about to open for all of us right now, right?
Yes,
That was
exactly.
it. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it was
freaking awesome.
I know it was, and it really blew my mind because, and here's the other part of it. Okay. So when I started the 40-day program and I listened to the instructions from this guy, he basically said, like, you have to do it every day. If you fall asleep, you start over,
It
like
doesn't
no
count.
deal, no bueno. So basically I knew, and this was the first time in my life that I had required myself to have such a level of discipline, sad truth, sorry, but discipline, where I put the work in every single day for 40 days. I took it so seriously. And it was because of the pain that I was in, which I think a lot of people can relate to, just there was nothing that could take. I moved to Florida to become a midwife. Okay. I was going to school down there. I basically left my family up in Michigan. There was no distractions for me down there. So all of my life, all of my behaviors, all of the things that I was doing that I wasn't doing were highlighted for me. And, and that's when I prayed to God, like, help me out. And he guided me to these meditations, guided me to this program. And so by the end of it, I was blown away, absolutely blown away. So this is what happened. Excuse me. And so I went to sleep that night and God took me up into himself. And God showed me himself as a giant tree. It's a big giant tree with pink flowing light through it. It was like pink sparkly light he was showing me the energy going through all of the branches and all of
Ethereal, like going
yes,
through the
yes,
veins of the tree. Imagine a tree with veins and
yes,
ethereal energy and pink luminescence coming out of it.
yes, exactly.
Wow.
And so he pointed to one of the leaves and he said to me, he said, "You see this leaf?" And I said, "Yes," and then he followed the trail of the energy to another leaf. He said, "You see that leaf?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "You are this one. Okay. That is the person that you love, that you are basically," that was the whole point. Was I was heartbroken. Okay. I was heartbroken. And so I had done some of this meditation work to send healing to this person that I loved. Okay, but without any intentions, not any agenda behind it other than to send them healing. So this was his message to me, to give me peace and to help relieve me of this pain. As he took me inside of himself, he pointed to these leaves and he said, you are that leaf, they are this leaf. You see how you are always connected? You are always together. You are always connected, just as we are all together and connected, because we are all one. We
And
are all
on
one
that
on the same
tree,
tree.
every human being has a
Yes,
leaf on that tree.
exactly. Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
beautiful,
And
beautiful,
so
beautiful.
after that message, then he showed me a coin. And he said, you see this coin? You see this side of the coin? And I said, yes. And then he flipped it over. He said, you see that side of the coin? I said, yeah. He said, just because you can't see the other side of the coin when you're looking at the other doesn't mean that stopped existing. Doesn't mean that other side doesn't exist anymore. That love that you felt was real. That love
Yeah.
that you felt for each other was real. And you don't need to let go of it, because that's the treasure that God gives you when he inspires you to feel love for someone, when he inspires you to fall in love with people and fall in love with the things that you do. You know, it's a gift, and that gift is supposed to be treated as a treasure, not as
Yeah.
something to suffer over.
Yeah.
So don't, he basically just said, so don't feel bad about it. It's okay to miss this person. It's okay to think about this person. It's okay to imagine that they're there with you. It's okay. And it brought me such great peace and relief to feel that way, and to have had that message, and to know without a doubt that I had experienced what God is. That there's no one that could ever take that from me. And I
Yeah.
want so desperately for people to have that same experience, because I just know that if they have that, that is like one of the first keys to getting them on track with living the life, the mission that they came here to live, the life that they wanted to live, the happiness, the experiences. Like that's the first thing that the controllers of the world want to take away from us, is that connection, that we are always connected to God and that we are part of Him.
Two sides of the same coin,
Mm-hmm.
two sides, that expression, two sides of the same coin. And most of the things that divide us from one another in this world, from political fractions or races or sexuality, skin color, all of these things, they're all two sides of the same coin. And as long as we don't realize it's the same coin, we miss out on the universal importance of the connectivity that is going on there. And that's a beautiful way of you describing it. And I'm sure you're thankful that you got to have that, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I also think too that it also gives a good example of, it's also your mental perspective. You know what I'm saying? It's like, are you going to choose to look at the side of fear and let yourself feel that? Or are you going to choose to remember to look at the side of love, and that we're always connected? Because you can find the love. There's always a way to find the love, I think. That's just my personal opinion. But so this really kickstarted my telepathy. This kickstarted my psychic gifts. This kickstarted like people would start coming to me for help and advice in ways that they hadn't before. I was no longer afraid. I found that I was like, I wasn't afraid to live. I was happy all the time. I felt connected to God all the time. It was like
I
a new
just
layer. Do you know what I'm saying? Like a new
I
layer of life
I
was on
I
top of that
have
thing.
to cut you off,
No,
not
go
cut
right
you off,
ahead.
but to add to it. But something that came to me as we're talking about this, and this is real time, and unlike other people that will say, "Well, this extraterrestrial is telling," no, this is coming from me and my soul that's a billion years old, which is something valuable. And what it's telling me, this isn't coming from God or any external source. This is something I'm seeing, listening to your experience. Two sides of the same coin. There's this and that. But if you take the coin up and you flick it, and that coin starts going around fast and fast, frequency and vibration and raising it, it just becomes one beautiful rotating coin, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just
That's true.
saying.
That's true.
Just
Mm-hmm.
saying. Wow, wow, wow. So please continue. I had it. I literally,
You had to
it's
get that
kind
out. I
of
know.
one of those things that came to me, and That's how we have to look. We have to take the positive and negative. We have to take the two sides of the same coin. We have to put it on its edge. We have to raise the frequency and density by flicking it and making it revolve so fast that it becomes one in circular Ouroboros fashion. That's it. Yeah.
So after that, and all these other things were happening to me, like, here's the thing though, I was still going to get tested. There were still things that were inside of me. I did not have a solid foundation of who I was, so that when these tests came, it basically rocked me, and it demolished me. It led to me gaining, uncovering all these other fears that I had, that I was not being they were hidden like under a rug, I guess you could say. Like, imagine someone has a rug and they just have a bunch of stuff like underneath it, and you just sit there and you're looking at this rug and you're like, something's wrong with that rug, but it looks kind of normal until the rug is lifted up. It's like, oh wait, there's all these things under here. So I started getting tested, and how I was getting tested was that my telepathy, okay, I was getting the messages of loved ones, okay, people that I was close to, and they were not good. They were not positive. And every day I would be driving, and mainly it would happen a lot when I'm driving. For some reason, I get a lot of my messages when I'm driving. It's because I feel like my body is busy doing something, and so it leaves it a little more open for the message to come through. And so I would get all of these thoughts about certain people, and then later on that day, they would be confirmed. And these people would say every single thing that I had gotten all these messages about. And it was so painful. It was so painful that I was just like, you know what, just shut it down. Just shut it down, God, and so I did. I started doing things that would basically shut that down, because in order to not hurt, it had to be turned off. The problem with that, though, is the problem with traumas that you don't let yourself face, okay, and you just numb the pain, is that you also numb the pleasure. You also numb the joy, the happiness, the love. It turns those things off too. And I was not aware that it was going to do that. And so sure enough, it did. Sure enough, it crushed my heart, the traumas that I was unwilling to deal with, because, slowly over time, I had more children. And at this point, I was a mother of like 5 children, and yes, and I was, and we're talking like, into my 30, like around 30. Okay. So I've like 5 children now. I shut off my telepathy. I had chosen to stop believing in extraterrestrials and everything, because the thought of it scared me so much that I was like, I'm just gonna have to purposely choose to not believe in it, because I was afraid that I was being abducted at night. Is what it was. And we'll get into that in a little bit, and about that I was afraid of that because I was. You. Yes, exactly.
Something was triggering you to cut that off. Yeah.
Yes. So I had shut down my emotions. I had shut down the telepathy. I'd shut down the gifts, and then I was pregnant with my daughter, and I'd started to realize that, I saw the patterns between my life and my mother's life. And I thought to myself, is this what we're all doing? Is this what, I was just given an example, and then I went and I lived that same example, but in my own way, and now here I am, and I'm about to give birth to this baby girl who the same-sex child is going to do and emulate me. And I was just like, not happy about this with myself. I was disappointed with myself, because I knew that I was not the best example that she could have. And so I broke down and I cried, and I went into this deepest place that I could go. And I asked God for help. And I said, God, I need to be the best example for my daughter, and I can't do this alone. So I really need your help, and this is where things really started to get like cool and creepy at the same time, because I had a being come to me after that prayer that night. I had a being come to me at the end of my bed. It peeked up, did this, it peeked up real quick, and it telepathically spoke to me, and it told me that it could only show itself to me for a split second, because it didn't want to scare me, but it needed to show itself to me. So that way permission type of thing. You know what I'm saying? This is who you're talking to, kind of thing. And what they showed me was what they looked like, okay, was a skinny, lanky, long, like whiter, lighter colored being with big black eyes and little features on the mouth. And it was kind of scary. It was kind of scary to me, quite honestly. So I was kind of glad that they only showed themselves to me for a second. And so they guided me with the telepathy. They were talking. Now, granted, while this is happening, I know this now that was telepathy. I know this now that this is the things they were saying to me. But at the time, I just thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
At the time, I just thought I was losing my mind. How am I just saw something. I'm hearing these things, and it's like, okay.
There's no processing.
Yeah,
There's no
yes,
processing. You can't
yeah,
even
I shut it
comprehend
down.
what you're seeing. You can't
Exactly.
comprehend it. It takes
Exactly.
a really long time. And anyone that says they comprehend these things, when you actually see something for yourself that you've never seen before, it's there, it exists, it's physical, astrally, whatever it may be. That takes time to process, because probably 99.9% of us don't understand what we're seeing. It takes a lot of time to process and understand what it was that we saw, right? That's what you
Exactly.
went through.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is now too, after having come through that experience, I also think too that that's what is so difficult, I think, for some of these beings when it comes to wanting to make contact with us, is that we have all of these fears now. I mean, look, I literally chose to stop believing that ETs could even exist. You know what I'm saying? Like, I literally told myself it wasn't even possible anymore. And now I was being confronted with something that kind of slightly looked like a more scarier, I'll say like grays and stuff like that. Like that was the only context of ETs that I had at that point, from being a child and watching TV programs
Hollywood,
and whatnot.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. But this wasn't a gray. You know what I'm saying? This was something else. And so I just feel like we really need to find a way to realize that the people the beings that we're connected to, because I do think this was a version of myself now. I think this was my walk-in experience that was getting ready to start. I know it was. This was my walk-in experience getting ready to start. So I'll just kind of steer back into that, and so that we can finish that part of it out, so people can know exactly a little bit more of how I became known as the Blue Fairy. So what they guided to show me was that my heart had died. Now, how they showed that to me was they guided me to find this. It was behind, again, there was like all around my bed here, behind my headboard, in the dark. I could see this set of eyes. Now, it was something real, okay? But when I first looked back there, they told me, take a look behind your headboard. You need to look back there. It scared me. It legitimately scared me. All I saw was it looked like two glowing eyes. And so I had to get a flashlight, and I shined it back there. And it was actually a little stuffed animal of Anubis. Okay, It was an Anubis stuffed animal. And behind it was a heart. A child's, like a squeezy heart that had a picture of Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse on it, and Mickey was giving Minnie Mouse some flowers. And that was when they told me that my heart had died. And I knew it was true. I could feel it with all my being. I could feel it was true. And so I went into a meditation, which was the first time I had meditated in probably at least 8 years at that point. And so I went into this meditation.
How old were you at this point?
I was, let's see, I was pregnant with my daughter. So this was 2017.
Okay.
So, oh Lord, how old? I was 36, I think. 36. Okay. Yeah, I think I was 35, 36.
So not long ago.
Yes, this was not that long ago. I'm coming up on 6 years now, yeah, with my walk-in, which is exciting. So every year gets better. But so that's besides the point. Okay. So what they showed me when I did this meditation, I dipped in, okay, and what I saw was a bunch of beings around me, and it looked like they had lights underneath their chin, and it was scaring me to see them like this. And so I kept pulling myself out of the meditation. And finally, because at this point I had so much fear in me. That was what I had really just let overrun me, was all of these fears. And, and where there's God, there is no fear. So I had to go and I had to clear all these things out. And so I went back into the meditation. And instead of looking at their faces, I decided to look down at my heart. Okay. And so I looked down, and what I saw was a big black rock. It looked like obsidian. Okay. It looked like a bunch of jagged edges of, if you had seen an obsidian stone that had just been chipped away at. It was like this black goo that had just hardened, and there was a crack in it. And through that crack, there was light shining. And that light that was hitting my guides underneath their chins, that was the light from my heart that was trying to break through on this crystal, or this shard, this obsidian stone. The Anubian black heart, actually. That's what it ended up. I found this out 4 years later, that them telling me my heart died with an Anubis looking animal, stuffed animal, okay, in the heart, that was an actual real thing in the Ascension Glossary, which if anyone follows Lisa Renee's work, which I do because I resonate with it so much, I read it. I went to, and I was just like, this is the key. Like, this is the information I've been waiting for. Like, oh my God, like, this is it finally, and it just so happens that she lists off what is called the Anubian black heart, which is what happens when traumas and life decisions that we make that make us feel bad about ourselves, that are just wrong for whatever reason, that it gathers up around the heart. What I look at it as, what I think about it as now, okay, is think about a bruise. Okay, when you get a bruise, it takes time to clear that bruise. What happens if you don't clear that bruise? You know what I'm saying? The traumas around the heart space, the heartbreaks and the pains, if they aren't cleared, if you numb them and you don't let yourself feel them, well, it's like a bruise, all these bruises, and then the dead light of the blackened light of the pain, it hardens and it makes it harder to move. And that's why it's so important for us to figure out how it is that we encourage each other to let ourselves feel our feelings,
our
because
pain,
yes,
our emotions,
all of them,
our mishappenings, our embarrassments, our insecurities,
yes,
the worst and best parts of us.
Yes, because if you don't let yourself, that's what happens. It forms it crushes your heart seed, basically. It crushes the starseed heart seed,
and it creates a black hole. It creates a black hole.
It creates,
metaphysically.
Yeah, it makes it so that you can't be in any other vibrational state other than the lowest of the low. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that was like, it was sad. It was very sad for me at that moment in time. But that was when the being that was at the end of my bed, which stayed with me. I think this took about a process of 2 or 3 days, to be quite honest with you, that they stayed with me and they just kept talking to me. Yes, and talking.
So multiple nights, at least 2 or 3 nights of this interaction with this small gray being with large black eyes.
Oh, it was tall. It was very large. It was very tall.
So not short.
Yes,
very tall.
No. What it was is that it only came up to peak like this because it didn't want to scare me, but it wasn't short. It was very tall.
I thought about the edge of your bed, but
yes,
it was probably down on its hands and knees.
I'm like trying to do it now. Yeah, it was like, like I could see like the how long it went. You know what I'm saying?
It was much taller. Interesting.
Yes.
Wow.
So what they were basically trying to guide me to is, because, like I said, I had cried and I had prayed to God for help, and they were there to help me. And they wanted to make sure that I understood what was happening. They needed to make sure to answer any questions that I had, because it needed to be of like free will consent, is what they were telling me, and making sure that I understood what they were offering. Okay. So what they told me was, they said, I could help you. You and we could become one. And then we could start to heal together. I could help you get through this and fix this heart problem or whatnot. And so I said to them, though, I took quite a bit of moment, because I thought to myself, I cried a lot. Here's the thing. I was really coming to terms with the fact that I let it get this bad, because even during this couple day process, I'd had another dream where they had showed me that they let me feel what happiness felt like again. And the sad thing about it is I hadn't felt real happiness in so long that when I woke up and I knew that's what I had felt in the dream, and that I didn't even have that in my life anymore. Like, it was pretty devastating, you know, because I have kids. I'm a mom. I'm supposed to be their example, and I'm not feeling any emotions. Like, that's not okay with me, you know, like, so we've gone through this, and so they told me that we could become one. And I said to them, I said, well, what about Cassandra? You know what I'm saying? Like, you say we become one. Does that mean like you just become me? You know, like, what happens to Cassandra, the consciousness of her? Because I feel like it wouldn't be fair after all the suffering she's been through that she not get to come along.
Yeah.
And the being got very happy with me when I said this. When I asked them this, I could feel their like, oh, that's a good question. You could just feel the energy coming from them. And they said to me, no, they said, you don't have to worry about that. See, if we become one, then Cassandra's story becomes part of my story. And even when we die and we leave this body behind, we will go on and we will be together forever because we are immortal. Yeah. This is what they told me. And so I said, okay. I said, I agree. Let's do this. You know, and as soon as we did that, as soon as I agreed to that, that was when they took me back into my heart space, and we allowed it to break open. And we allowed the deepest, darkest memory that I had from my childhood to come up to the surface, and for me to sit there and to feel it and to go through it.
So what you're describing, and for everyone out there that is watching this, maybe you may not be familiar with the term walk-in or things like this. These are energies, dimensional consciousnesses, souls, beings, etc., that, you know, these human bodies are just a vessel. And just like any vessel, you can really put anything you want inside of it. Depending on what's inside of it will eventually, you know, lead up to how that operates or functions. And what you are describing is, you know, this battle of saying, hey, the soul and consciousness that is here, yes, we want to reconnect and be with this other soul or consciousness, but at the same time, this soul and consciousness has already went through so much. Don't kick it completely out. Just let's team up, let's work together, and let's see what shakes loose, because none of us want to feel lonely. And it's nice to have that extra soul there hanging with you.
Oh, it is. It is. Because
right?
Yes, because everything changed after that point. Everything, because now I'm having this internal dialogue. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was, you know, you hear, okay, like, I hear my guides and stuff too, yes. But at this point now, when me and my other self became one, all right, now we always had this inner dialogue. Always. It was always this back and forth, you know, they really guided me.
You know? This inner self, this walk-in, can you describe that being? What is it?
I think, honestly, I think that being was I prayed, actually. And here's the thing. And when I ask for requests properly, they always give me a response. So within 24 hours of me asking them, I said, I really wish I had a picture of what you looked like that I could show people. You know, like, I really wish I knew, you know, what to tell people, you know. And then within 24 hours, my friend, one of my girlfriends, really close to her, name's Alexis, she sent me a picture, just randomly sent me a picture of exactly what this being looked like. And it even had a caption with it, and it said that this person was from the Inner Earth Council, an Inner Earth Council, a Melchizedek Council, Inner Earth Melchizedek Council. I forget exactly the word order of that, but basically, and this lined up for me when I heard this, because part of what the dialogue and the things that they'd been telling me after the soul braid was happening, which I think it took 4 years to complete. I think the soul braid itself took 4 years for it to fully come and lock into place. And that, and when it did, my heart restarted, and the feelings restarted properly, and now I've been lucky enough to have these deep emotions and feelings
A
again.
quick
Okay.
question.
Yes.
Now, 4 years,
Sorry. Yeah.
I've heard of walk-ins kind of happening relatively quick. Was the
Hmm.
4 years in the process over time, was that such a slow period in order to allow your original consciousness and soul to stay within contact without pushing out? So it had to happen over a slow amount of time, or do all walk-ins happen over a long amount of time?
Well, I can only speak for mine, but that really resonates when you said that. It's like, because here's the thing. I think that the main thing they were helping me do once like, they were there immediately, but in order to fully integrate, okay, and to fully activate that heart space again, it took 4 years for that to happen because we had to go through so much healing. They guided me
Trauma, a
to,
lot of
yes.
trauma to
Hmm.
process through.
Yes,
Wow.
exactly. And that was what they were really helping me do, to get through that enough to where my heart could be reignited and activated. And that made my manifestation gifts kick up even into more high gear, like
So
unbelievable.
after
Like,
after that 4 years, stuff started getting
yes,
really
why
intense.
gold? Yes.
And this would have been like 2 years ago, right?
Mhm.
By the end
Mhm.
of the transition.
Mhm.
Wow.
Basically, what they told me, and this is, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I have these, my guides, my walk-in. I have these beings here that want to help me feel the most happiness and love and joy that I possibly can. And okay, let me just get right to it then. Okay, so to tell about the story about how they told me I was the blue fairy. So after I'd gone to this event, okay, and I'd met up with my soul family for the first time, like real soul family that was confirmed, like, because I had literally asked for this one specific um thing to happen to me, and I didn't even think it would. I was like, because I didn't understand, like what this certain concept meant. So they made sure that it happened. They made sure that I connected with my soul family, and it felt real to the point where it felt like a lightning bolt had gone through me once it was confirmed for me. Okay. And so after that, they had told me, they said, you're going to share these gifts with people. Okay. You're going to go and you're going to share these gifts with people, and you're going to tell them the things that you're thinking. Okay. Because this is like, it was like my initiation. This was the test. Are you going to be afraid to share with people, or are you not? And so I did it, even though it was kind of scary because it made me very vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable. And one of my biggest insecurities was, fear of rejection. Okay. So I went ahead and I did these things. And after I'd done them, I was driving in my car. And as I was driving and I was thinking about all the wonderful magical things that had happened, because just even going to this event, okay, I literally asked, I said, I can't afford to go to this event, God. Could you please help me go to this event? Because I would really love to even work for it. I said, if you could just let it so I could work for it, I'd be willing to do that. Just let me go to this event so that way I can be activated and I can be fully on my mission. And within 24 hours, the person who was hosting the event got a hold of me and was like, would you like to be a volunteer and work for this event? And I'm like, okay, wow. Like, so I knew that this was meant to be. I knew that this was always meant to be. And so I'd done the things, and I'm driving in my car and I'm thinking about all the beautiful, lucky things that had happened to me because of this, all the feelings that I could finally feel these ways again. And I never thought that I'd be able to feel that way again. And I'm so grateful for it. And that was when I felt them all pull around me. Okay. Now I had my guides around me, and they began to talk to me, and they said, you are the blue fairy. And
Hmm.
I was like, what's going on, like, because I could feel one in front of me and I could feel one behind me, and another one over here to the side. And I was like, the blue fairy guys, are you, what's going on here? They were like, hush, they said, you are the blue fairy, so beloved by the universe that they wrote you into children's fairy tales. They said, your
Wow.
purpose here on earth is to make dreams come true. And then someone one of the guides in front of me, they said, Actually, no, it was the one behind me. They said, and how do you ignite the heart of a fairy so that she may go on to fulfill her mission? And then the other person in front of me said, by making all of her dreams come true first.
That's it. And I want to interject here.
Yes, go
Before the
ahead.
first time you and I talked together, and when I, briefly, saw the blue fairy, I started doing historical research. And before we even talked, before she even got to explain the story, I started to do a lot of research because I'm like, all right, does she think she's like Peter Pan? Do I think I'm Peter Pan and Mrs. Tinkerbell flying around and all this? But I'm one of those people that believe that all things are rooted in history, and all things are based off of anything the human mind can think is something that is actually existent. Because if we're able to think it, it must exist. To think is to create. And with that being said, and you could add to this, before talking to her, I found the ancient Blue Fairy book. You want to talk a little bit about this? What you got going on right there?
Oh yeah, look at that. Well, I love it too because the hair color I had, I didn't even know. Okay, so the blue fairy. Not only that, but in Pinocchio, it's called the fairy with the turquoise hair. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Yeah.
literally talks about hair color in that. I was just like blown away. I'm like, the more I think
Turquoise.
about it too, even with the story of Pinocchio, what is the story of Pinocchio talking about? And that is definitely one of the missions that I was here to do, was to see what was really happening. Like that is what called us here. I really believe that was what was going on with the
Yeah.
children,
And
and
this
yes,
Blue Fairy book, what
this is
this is
amazing.
the book that it's Pinocchio, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh, that particular
Pinocchio.
one, yeah, yeah.
That
I'm like
was
looking at
based
it.
off of this one here. This story of this fairy was piggybacked onto the Pinocchio story. The guy that wrote Pinocchio had the reference of this book. And then when you go to this, there's even older references. And then when you start to go to like the ancient Celtic people and Druids and etc., it just keeps popping up over and over again. These blue fairies, more than one apparently.
Yeah, I'm starting a collective, so Blue Fairy
Starting a
Collective.
collective. Oh, that's great. But yeah, so and once again, it goes to these natural earth elements. What you're describing here is an elemental that has been on this planet, and in the disclosure community, everyone's so fixated, for example, Seven Sisters, Pleiades, or Lyra, or Orion, or Alpha Centauri, or Sirius, or Andromeda, and all these other places. And oftentimes we absolutely miss what we're on,
Mm.
energies around us, and you're tapped into this, and
Oh,
obviously
absolutely.
this energy latched on to whatever your vessel is and whatever was already existing, because the soul that was in your vessel now is also old. So maybe some of these
Yes,
gray extraterrestrials and these connections may have to do with the soul that was originally there, and then this interdimensional earth terrestrial elemental energy somehow got infused in there, which an outside source coming here would be mixed with something that was originally here. It has to be here is
yes,
to be there, right? It's kind of
yes.
confusing.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree with you. And that is the other thing that I forgot to mention when I mentioned about the picture and what it was labeled. It was a Draco human hybrid. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, what the being
Oh,
was. I'm pretty sure they were. I mean, that's exactly what it. I prayed for the picture, and the picture said this, and it lines up. It lines up. I mean, they're supposed to be highly
and
telepathic and things of that nature.
what
Like
what picture was this?
I was, you know what? I will send it to you afterward. I still have it in my one of my folders. I can show it to you. Um, it was a picture that my friend had sent me that she got off of Instagram from one of someone's page where they post a bunch of pictures of these types of things. It seemed legit to me, is what I'm saying. I prayed for it, and then it showed up, and it made a lot of sense to me. And so that's another reason why I don't subscribe to the whole ideal that all reptilians are bad and all draconians are evil. I just don't subscribe to that, because I think that you can't condemn an entire race of beings for some bad apples. You can't. It just doesn't. I mean, I know my heart's purity. I know my connection to source and God. And I'm sorry, guys, but if that's what it can't be that they're all bad, because I'm certainly not. Oh, look at that.
Absolutely.
Oh, look at that.
We're not all bad. I'm Rico Reptilian. All right. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, not all reptilians are bad. I just wanted to give Rico a little
Yeah.
love. He's been banned off of social media, but you're absolutely
yes.
right. You know,
Yes.
and I'm not proud of this. I have a little bit of Draconian in me. I'm trying my best to rebel against all the negativity and stuff that's been in there. And there's tons of other reptilian species that we have their genetics as well.
Yeah.
And a lot are loving, kind, reasonable, logical beings. Not all are buttheads, you know. Just like human beings, generally those that are the elite and at the upper echelon and the ones controlling things, they're the buttheads. The everyday little average ones like us, we're really not. We're just hybrid created beings with humanoid, insectoid, amphibious, energy light beings, and reptoid all mixed within our genetics. We can't help it. It is what it is.
Exactly. And I think that part of the thing is that we're here to help correct that belief, and correct what the good ones are here to try and help correct what the bad ones are doing, so to speak. You know, because here was the rest of the message that they gave me after they told me they were going to make all of my dreams come true, which literally the energy of it and the frequency of it that they hit me with this was like, it brought me to tears, you know. And it's one of those, like, the joy of it just, so I'm sitting there and I'm a crying mess, but the message did not stop. Okay. So this is where they went with the next part of it. Okay. So they said, this is how we ignited your heart by making all your dreams come true. We're going to continue to make them all come true, because really, how else do I have the frequency of what that feels like to have my dreams come true in order to share it? It's all about sharing this with other people. You could only give someone what you yourself have been given. Okay. So I couldn't have given that without them giving this to me and without them doing these things for me. So they told me, time does not work how you think it works. It is more like a circle. Everything has a beginning and an ending, and this is yours ending beginning. That's what they told me.
Bora, 100%.
So I think honestly that walk-in was a future version of myself. Okay. And I think that I came back here to help make sure to correct my timeline and get me lined up with my highest love and joy, and to help bring as many people along with me as I can. And so that we could just alleviate as much suffering on this planet as possible until we all reach that threshold of the 100th monkey effect, to where it ripples out and all of us are awakened.
Raising the frequency, raising the vibration. Yes. That's what it's about. That's what you're doing.
Because love heals it. Love heals the trauma.
Everything simplified. Everything people, how do I get on this path? How do I get in contact with this? How do I do that? How do I feel more in tune? How do I start to have my abilities? Love, 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 and then love. It's one of the few things that you can bank on that won't do you wrong. Will you be hurt? Will you be betrayed? Will you be knocked down showing love? Absolutely. But you will never be in the wrong for showing love. So longevity of it, your soul will be rocking. Love, 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 love.
Yes.
It's
always
simple.
Connect.
It's
always
not
reconnect.
Complicated. Yep.
Follow your heart. Follow what brings your heart joy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so many of us are having to do the things that we do, not because we want to, not because it's making us feel good inside about ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And it's like really important for us to get back on track with doing the things that feel good, you know? And so that's what I started doing with this gift, is I started trying to use it to help as many other people as I could. So the whole heart wishes thing, you know what I'm saying? Like the manifesting, what I started doing is I started making wishes now, not just for myself, but for other people. And when I started making these wishes for other people, I just started seeing really big things happen, you know?
And they tell you,
yeah.
you know,
Yes.
you made a few for me
Yes.
privately, and
Yes.
I haven't even got to tell you yet. But
Oh, wow. I'm excited.
it's coming to be. It's
Yes.
coming. I haven't got to tell you that yet, but the heart wishes you made for me, especially when you made it and coming to be and everything going on now. If I filled you in on everything, which I'm not going to because it's not my time, it's yours. But yeah, it works.
Well, I'm glad I have someone here confirming that too, because I didn't want to have to get, there's no way I can get into the intimate details of the other particular heart wishes, because that's the thing about these heart wishes, is that you have to go to such a level of intimacy
And
within yourself, and,
privacy.
yes,
It's
in
kind of
connection to
private.
this person. Yes, you have to go to that. It like, okay, it's like an intimate, vulnerable sexual experience. Even you have to get into that frequency of it, that love, that intimate form of love, in order for it to
Just
come out pure,
you,
to come
this
out pure.
person, and the source. Nothing
Mhm.
else
Mhm.
keeps it completely pure.
Mhm.
One on one.
Yes, with no agenda
Heart.
behind it. There's got to be, exactly, when you're doing these things, there's got to be like, well, if you do this thing for them, then they have
Yeah.
to do this for me. You know,
No,
like
no,
none
no,
of that.
no.
But yes,
But you're right.
so and I think that's one of the reasons that I am sharing my story and sharing some of. I've been able to share some of my manifestations with people that were a little bit not as intimate to share, I guess you could say, on my own channel, you know, because I want people to have that example so they can know, you know what, if you ask God to help someone and you say, you know, you listen to them and your heart goes out to them, and you know when it is, because your heart will be moved by whatever it is that they're talking about. It's those moments where the people whose their stories are touching you in some way. Okay,
Mhm.
and that is when you know is your time to act. That is when you go and you just say, you know what, God, if there was any way, you know what I would like to see happen for that person? Well, I would like to see this happen for that person. And if it is in an alignment with their highest love and joy, and with for everyone involved, then, you know, I just ask permission that you grant that. And you give it to God. It's not you doing it, it is source doing it. You are just making the request, because that is the only way that we can do it, is we have to put it towards God for the request, and He will decide.
Exactly.
You
The
know.
power of prayer, or
Mhm.
translated, the power of manifestation, the
Mhm.
power of putting positivity within the universe. When you put out positivity, the laws of attraction, you know, you will get positivity. And on the two sides of the same coin of this, you can do the same thing with negativity. And the more negativity you put out there, the more negativity you create. So
It's true.
it's
Mhm.
extremely important. You never hear about people that are praying for, well, it happens unfortunately, but praying for negative things. Generally that's not associated with manifesting and, you know, wanting things, but unfortunately on a subconscious level, a lot of people in this world are accidentally negatively manifesting things, just making little comments about themselves and how they look at
It's true.
themselves, putting themselves down, not even realizing that they're shooting themselves in the foot by doing it, because they're manifesting these awful things into their life. And the power of prayer and understanding this G, this Gnostic, this geometry, this grand architect, this God, Yahweh, Vishnu, whatever you want to call this energy, I don't care. Once you are able to tap into this energy, it all makes sense. And it all just becomes what it is. And then, like you said, it's not us that's doing this, it's us allowing this energy to just do what energy does. and it reflects reaction and action. That's
Mm-hmm.
what energy does, positive or negative. So be aware of what you're putting out there. Wow, that's
It's so
amazing.
true. It's so true. And it's a hard pill to swallow, I think, for a lot of people to hear that, that they have to control their thoughts, that they have to, even the harshness that they are. Let's say, like, if people have an inner critic, which we all do, okay, we all have one of these, and how harsh that inner critic is going to be that's part of the anti-self programming that they have put into us. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. These things are we literally are creating our worries, our fears, and
We
and that
are
actually,
our own
yes,
worst enemy.
we are creators. We are little creator beings. And if sorry, got taken off there for a second. So yeah, what I was going to say about that was,
We're our creator beings.
yes, we are creator beings. You have to be careful with what you think about. You have to. That's why thinking positively about for other people in these ways, I feel like this is going to be the key to really helping getting a lot of us out of here. It's time for us to raise up, and that actually leads me, and that's where I was going with it. That I pulled back in. I got it now. Yes, because that was part of how I discovered that I even was an elemental being from Earth. Was this most important dream that they had given me, that I had? It just so happened to happen at the same month of my walk-in. Okay, coming to me. All right, I had this dream where they told me and they showed me, and those dreams where it's like you can't get it out of your mind. You're like, you'll never forget it. Where it's very vivid, it's very real feeling. Okay, and it takes a while. And so they showed me in this dream that I was riding in to this valley on a silver cord. All right, and I had a group of companions with me, also sliding in on silver cords into this storm that we were chasing on this planet. And I think I'm going to assume it was planet Earth here, obviously. And it had limestone mountains around it, looked like China. Okay, and so we were following this ball of a black and shape-shifting black and pink storm. It was in the shape of a ball. And so we were chasing it, and I slid in on this silver cord, and I was actually looked like I had my hair blonde and braided like Daenerys or the Khaleesi on Game of Thrones, and I was wearing a similar outfit to they gave me a lot of movie references and TV shows in order for me to communicate with me. So they showed me this I was wearing Ruby Roundhouse from Jumanji. I was wearing like a get up like that. And so I slid down into this storm. And when I did, a barrier formed around me, around the storm. And I knew this was a risk that I took, but that was part of what we were doing there. And I knew, though, when this happened and they locked me in, that I was not going to see my traveling companions again. And I was so devastated by this. I still remember the deep grief that I felt over this. I sat there and I just collapsed and I just was crying. And I was surrounded by this black shape-shifting goo all over the place. And everywhere I looked, these terrible creatures would form and scare the living daylights out of me here. And, I was trying to just move. I was just trying to move just even a little bit further. And it was like when the movie Ghost, when he gets sucked through the door, like that type of thing happened. And I remember, I finally made it through one part of it, but it was still so terrifying. And that was when the light of God came in behind me. And he said to me, but little did she know, everything she feared she created, and it would only take her millions upon millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of years to figure this out. That her children were always safe with me. And as soon as that happened, the storm dissipated and I was reunited with my companions. But and after I had the dream and after I woke up and I asked them basically, how many millions? You seem to have gone into millions quite a few times for a reason, So I asked them, how many millions? And they said 500 million. And I said, damn, it's been a long time. This has been a long time coming.
It's something about that literature. Little did she know. That little did he know, she know, little did you know. That little, I don't know. It's something about that that's very triggering to me. I'm pretty sure I've heard this, and it's something that's kind of a reoccurring thing. It's when it comes to literature, it's a very profound
it is.
Statement when it comes to people that are familiar with writing and stuff. There are entire books essentially on little do you know, or she know, or he know. And it's kind of a big part of why we don't know. Like, little do we know is to protect us and to allow us to know eventually.
Yeah.
It's that circle again. Wow.
Well, I was very upset. Yeah, I was very upset to find out that I've been stuck here for 500 million years, not realizing I've been creating everything that I fear. You know what I'm saying? And so once this really hit in and sunk in, though, I realized how true it is. And the less I focus on, the more I stay away from focusing on the fears and clearing the traumas and feeling love and joy and imagining the situations that I want to happen, imagining just beautiful, positive things. It happens all the time, you know. It's really true, and that's why I just know this is also true for all of us, and this is part of why they've been keeping this information secret and hidden, you know, because that's the way they keep us in those low frequency states, is to not know that, hey, guess what? If you don't get a hold of your mind, you're literally going to create all this life experience that might not be the highest love and joy that you felt, you know, and we deserve it. It's our birthright as God, who is love and joy himself. It is our birthright to feel that and to be on the timeline that feels that highest way. You know, that is really what took us off. And it gave us opportunity to learn about who we are, you know, sort of thing, like testing us, you know what I'm saying? The depth of what that even means to be a creator being, you know, but it's time now. And what my dream told me, from what I took away from it, was that the storm dissipating and us being reunited, okay, and learning that to stop fearing, that time is now. That time is now. You know, so it's time for us all to wake up to that truth, because the power of intentions and the power of true love, true divine love in our heart is so magnificent that it can literally move mountains. I know it. You know, I just know that.
It can create planets. It can create universes and dimensions. It's that powerful. Exactly. And what you're saying before, you know, why it's so important for us to understand these things, because real change in this world that you've been here for millions of years or whatever, and a lot of your surroundings was actually caused from fear that has been manifested, etc. At the end of the day, right here, right now, this timeline, this density, this soul in this vessel, the best way for us to disrupt and change everything is by doing this in our day-to-day lives. Whatever you see, even if you don't leave your house all day long, be kind to the animals outside or the ants that are crawling on your counters trying to get to your coffee. Be nice to your pets, to your neighbors. Wave to someone driving by. This is where it all comes into play.
Well, you know who you need to be the nicest to? Yourself. That's who people need to be the nicest to, because when you're feeling good about yourself and you're feeling good inside, you naturally act in accordance with that, and you're nicer and you have more compassion with other people. What you give to yourself is what you have to give to other people. If you don't have that first, you can't give it. You can't give something you don't have. You know what I'm saying? So people have to learn.
Your cup must be full before you pour it onto others. A cup that is half empty don't have much to pour on. I'm speaking that old words, but it's true though. You got to make sure your cup is full before it runneth over.
Exactly.
Speaking Old Testament and shit.
Yes.
I'm sounding like King James. All right.
Yeah. I love it.
But so, what? One thing I want to ask after hearing this. So, the blue fairy, this elemental energy that has attached to you. I know there has to be a lot to that because, as you were just saying, this is something 12 million years old, possibly
500 million.
Okay, I was just gonna say possibly much longer. It is much longer. Okay, so very, very ancient, very old, and along with that comes a lot of information, which I know we don't have the time to go over all that energy and everything through all of that history and what we think is time downloaded onto that energy. No point of trying to go over it. My question is this elemental energy, what we're calling, simply put, the blue fairy. I'm sure it's a lot more than that. It's not just that. But what is the overall, mission? What is trying to be done by this ancient terrestrial elemental energy? What is it trying to do? Is there final thoughts and words of what this energy wants for humanity? And a little side note, are others connected to this elemental's energy, and or does that elemental have other elementals they know, and can others be connected to this energy without knowing it? I know,
100%.
two very complex things,
Yes.
but fill us
100%.
in.
I would say the main mission here for me has been is being the blue fairy. Okay, it's quite a few things, obviously, but the biggest one is just realigning people and the planet, because that was really the main thing that I started writing down in my manifestation requests for quite some time. Was I wanted to see Earth healed and on her highest timeline of love and joy for Earth and all of her creatures. So everyone on the planet, I want everything in alignment with the highest love and joy timeline. Okay, and how we're doing that is by bringing in realigning. It's called the Christos realignment mission. We're bringing the Christ consciousness back into the planet. We're bringing the mother goddess back into the planet, because that's really the thing that they took out of the planet, was the mother goddess, the true mother energy. Okay, and so now that exists in me with my template that I have, my template being restored, that I'm activating. I'm bringing in, and many others. Okay, it has to do with, I think it has to do with genetics, has to do with being a starseed. Okay, it's about being in alignment with, and you're going to find your niche is what I'm saying. Like, you're going to find your own little specific niche. Like, are you here to help with crystals? Are you here to help with manifestation? Are you here to help with physical or energetic anatomy? Are you here to help with that? Like, everyone's going to have
plumber,
their own little piece.
A mechanic,
yes,
a teacher.
Yes. And here's the thing, because even when you're doing those things, it's about, if you're healed and you're living in that state of love and joy, okay, everything you do is going to be touched by that. Every person you come into contact with is going to be touched by that. And it's about making sure to maintain that state, to maintain that frequency, so that everything you do, you are pouring God's love into. And that in turn pours it into the planet, and then in turn raises up the entire frequency. And that's what we're trying to do, because yes.
A good example of that, imagine if we're all frequency, which we are. Now, imagine that frequency so everyone can understand. Imagine your favorite song, and you're in a world where everyone is their favorite song playing. You want your song to be so loud that no other song comes through, because that sound will transfer. And that's why it's so important, because whether it's positivity or negativity, if that song is always cranked up, it's going to overdrive and bleed on to others, and it can cut or harmonize with their songs. The idea is to all get us rocking and playing at such a loud level and all singing the same tune and all harmonizing, maybe saying different words, but within harmony. And then you have the greatest song to ever be sang. No doubt
I
about it.
agree. Totally agree with you on that.
Wow.
Yes.
And and that's a great, your mission here, what you're here to do to uplift, etc., raise the vibration. Going to the second half of that question, are there people that also have this elemental's energy? Are you like the exception? Are you the only blue fairy? Are there other people that resonate with this energy? And or are there other earth elementals that this elemental knows that's within other people that they may not be aware of?
I think that there's definitely more than one of us. I think there's definitely more than okay. When they say the blue fairy, I feel like okay. If I really tap into that, I feel like okay. What I really am is I'm a tall fairy being. Okay, there's more fairy beings. There's lots of fairy beings out there. You know what I'm saying? My particular fairy being just happens to be focused on the heart. Focused on what the heart wants, and because that's what really is what inspires love and joy in people. Okay, so that's really my biggest thing is that I want to give people those experiences to uplift them and to get them on track with whatever mission that they are here to do. You know what I'm saying? I think if you resonate with Fae energy, you know what I'm saying? Most likely you will be attracted to taking care of the outdoors, being attracted to nature, being attracted to you gave me a good question on this one. I just keep feeling like if you really care about the earth in a way that seems okay. I have a good example now. Okay, so for me, what makes me feel this attraction to being the blue fairy, okay, is all of the large group of us in the community, a large group of people in the community. Everyone's like, I want to get the hell off this planet. Like I'm done. This is my last lifetime here. I've lived here. It's all I care about is just getting off this planet. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't take that approach anymore because I feel like,
you're here to
as a mother, I'm here to, yes, as a mother
not to
myself,
run away from it, to preserve it.
Yes. And I feel like that was the whole point of me, my companions coming here was to help fix the earth. I feel like we've done this many times before. I feel like this is just what it takes a long time. It's a process. But I just thought as a mother, how would I feel if all the children that I had and I supplied for as best that I could, what if they just wanted to leave me? And like, what if I'm like in this state now from having to take care of them that I just can't even hardly do anything on my own, and they're just gonna want to take off, and they're just gonna be like, "Fuck you," like sorry to say that, but
no,
and
awful.
that broke my heart. You know what I'm saying? To think that because Mother Earth is a living being, and I just refuse to make her feel like I don't want to be with her. I refuse to make her feel like I don't want to help clean up the mess that has been made here. So that's why I think I stay, and I think that if you resonate with feeling that way when I talk about that, I feel like that could mean that you have fairy energy in you. I feel like it's a DNA code, it's DNA sequencing and stuff like that, the fairy energy that will get activated in you, and follow it. That's all I really can say is just follow what brings you joy when it comes to that.
And that's wonderful. So anyone out there, if you're still new to the earth elementals and stuff like that, that is a great point. And I'm guilty of being one of the ones that's saying I'm freaking done. I've only been here 12,000 years, all right, versus the amount you have been. I'm freaking done with this rock, and I don't care about it. That's where I'm at. But earth elementals, you may have this desire to, not want to escape somewhere else. You want to make what has always been yours the best it could possibly be, which I'm sure we all have a little bit of us. I mean, there's a half of me that wants to make this planet better than any other planet in the galaxy. And then we won't have to go to Pleiades. We won't have to go to Orion. If we could just get this solar system and Gaia, Terra, up to where it needs to be, everything would be all right. So maybe I got a little bit of elemental mixed up, and I'm sure most of us do, because at the end of the day, we're all on Terra. And if we're here, we have to have a little bit of this planet's energy within us, regardless of where we're coming from or what we're made of. And that's a beautiful message you have there, and what you're trying to do and all that good stuff. And to close it up here, Aurora, I've had a blast. I'll definitely have to have you come back, because I know that there's so much more we still have to talk about. This is just the tip of the iceberg, some of the highlights. She's actually had a lot of other experiences as well, but we
didn't get to those today. I know.
No, but I know them, and I do want to get to them eventually, so we'll definitely have to have a part 2. But with that being said, could you give everyone out there a way to get a hold of you, for everyone that resonated with this? I'll have all of her information down in the description. So if you want to let everyone kind of know what you're doing, and let them know how the best way they can reach you, etc.
Yes, sure can. So right now you can reach me mainly by email is the best way, quite honestly. It's at auroradiamondheart@gmail.com. Okay, now I'll just so you know what you would be reaching out to me for. Okay, it can be for a number of things, whatever your heart is feeling. But I do tarot readings, I do astrology readings, and I do manifestation coaching. Okay, so if you're interested in any of those things, or just even what that entails, please feel free to email me. You can also reach me on Facebook. You can direct message me on Facebook as Aurora Diamondheart. You can find me there, or you can find me on Instagram as Panhandle Villanelle too. Okay, and you'll see the same picture on all of the things. So you can message me there, or any of those places. And I really hope that some of you reach out, because I really am interested in people's stories. That is where I get my inspiration from, is from listening to other people talk and share themselves with me. And I like to create a safe place for people to really be vulnerable, and to feel like someone else really wants to hear what they're saying, and cares, and wants to see it be better, wants to see their dreams come true. I really do. I want to see people's dreams come true, and I'm really doing my best to make that happen.
Yeah, and also, I don't know if you mentioned it.
I forgot about my YouTube channel.
The most important thing. You're on YouTube.
God, what is going on? Okay.
Yes, I didn't forget.
Please. Gee, thank you for not forgetting, because, wow, sometimes I just forget the silliest things. Yes, I'm on YouTube. I'm absolutely trying to build my subscriber count out. So that's where I've been sharing a lot of my magical stories, and I plan on continuing to do more. I've been a little bit thrown off the past couple weeks. I've been a little bit sick, and trying to recover from a couple different things. So yes, please go there and follow me. Please subscribe, and I hope to see some of you guys in the chat. I would really look forward to that. I do readings sometimes. I do card drawings too. So if you ever need a message from Spirit and you pop over to my channel, I'll pull a card.
So everyone, make sure you go down in the description, along with her links and her channels and other things she got going on down there. After you go check that out, also make sure to check out my social links. I got my email down there. I have the Order of Light merchandise store. I have my other social accounts on there. At the very bottom, I have the Alliance of Experiencers. So if you're someone and you need a little bit more help and additional resources and want to be a part of the community, go check out my friends, the other Aurora and Diana Dunbar, who are running that over there with a great team they're putting together to help all of you that have experiences, and a lot of other information down in the description. Really appreciate all the members of this channel. Thank you so much for helping support me and to keep things going. I'm really excited about the Journey to Truth conference that is coming up. So I'm talking about that. I'm trying to get out there. So people hit me up. I'm trying to get a bunch of people together, and I'm gonna have Aaron on the show real soon. So,
can I mention one more thing?
yes.
Totally forgot about. Okay, I'm also going to be in Sedona in December at the Starseed Adventures Vacation Conference. If you would like to go to that, see, I'm like was so into our conversation, I forgot about all these things that I'm doing. So yeah, I'm going to be speaker there. So anyone who wants to come and hang out with me and a bunch of other people that are like-minded, please go to starseedadventures.com and get your tickets. There's still some tickets available, so please go ahead and check that out. I would love to meet you guys. I love meeting the people. So please come along.
Yeah, in Sedona, Arizona. I actually saw that one, and I really, really wanted to go, but I'm still recovering somewhat from the Orlando conference, and I'm trying to save up to make it to the entrance. So I'm like, I'm too poor. But the Sedona one seems perfect. All the trails and all the different events and workshops. I honestly really, really wanted to go to that one very, very, very much, but I know it's going to be awesome. So yeah, everyone, I'll have a link for that as well down in there. That's December 7th, correct? Is that the right time?
December 11th.
December 11th.
To the 15th.
Okay.
The 16th.
Yeah, so everyone check it out. I've actually been talking to whatchamacallit. That's also going to be there. Matthew, am I right? Matthew
Morgan?
Yeah, Matthew. Yeah, he's a cool dude. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome guys. So, yeah, everyone check it out. It's a great group of people, same family, all that good love. Find all of that in the description. Journey of Truth conference coming up in May as well. So I'll definitely be there one way or another. I don't care if I got to rob a bank to do it. I'm going to do it. So I don't care.
You're going to hitchhike there? Okay.
Yeah, I got at least I got one car at the moment. So, but yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So thank you once again, everyone, and please leave a comment, hit that like button, and share this video. And go check out Aurora's information down in the description. She's doing a lot of amazing things, and she's really been an inspirational voice behind the scenes to me, helping me grow, and hoping we all can grow together. So we will all see you next time, and I hope that all of you have an amazing week. And thank you so much, Aurora, for coming on. It's been a blast. Really appreciate you being brave enough to share your experience in the public's eye and get your story out there and just help people and try to do what you were sent here to do. And a big thanks to the Blue Fairy Elemental. Much love. Thanks for trying to help raise the vibration of Terra.
Love you guys.
We need as much as we can get, so that's what we're doing. We're all working together. I hope to be on your channel soon, so just hit me up if you ever want to. As soon as I get
my tech issue solved, I'm definitely going to be bringing people on my channel. It's just let me get it straight now, and you will be there. So yes.
All right. I have an idea to solve that, and I'll let you know what it is, and we'll make it happen.
Yes, please do.
So everyone have a wonderful night. New era of contact. Robert Earl White, Aurora Diamondheart, the Blue Fairy, coming together, raising frequency, raising vibration, trying to make this planet a better place to stay on and not run away from. Embrace the ancient knowledge, energy that has always been here on this planet. How about we learn to appreciate what is on the ground before we start reaching for the stars? And that's a great place to start, and I really appreciate it. So we'll see you all next time. Have a wonderful night. Yes. Bye-bye.
Let's make this party planet Earth. That's what it's going to be. So
party planet Earth. Let's go. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Hey, everyone. Check out the Order of Light merchandise store. We got a lot of different t-shirts there. The Humans Aren't Real, Lower Always Creek Incident. We got tank tops to Merkaba. We got stickers, glasses, a lot of different glasses. So get thirsty. We got bags. I live in New Jersey. We don't have bags anymore. So it's really nice. We got flip-flops, hoodies, and all the ladies out there. We got a bunch of awesome merchandise. Please join the YouTube membership for my channel. You will get exclusive badges, really awesome emojis, member-only live streams, posts, and chats and connections with me for only $5.99 a month. See you there.